What was your biggest failure, and how did it change you?
Wow, I have to really think hard about that. Failure. Never heard of it.
Lord of the Rings is my favorite book.
Is it?
Yeah, and I thought it'd be like, what's the closest thing to being a wizard in the real world? And that's like creating new technologies.
It's not as much fun being me as you'd think. I don't know.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure I want to be me.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with Believe Nation.
What's up, it's Evan. My one word is believe, and I believe in you. I believe you have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and I want you to find it, embrace it, and make a difference using it. So let's get your motivation to a 10 and get you believing in you. Grab a snack and chew in today's lessons from a man who went from being born in South Africa to being severely bullied as a child growing up, to teaching himself how to code at age 12, to becoming the modern day equivalent of Iron Man. He's Elon Musk, and here's my take on his top 10 rules of success, volume 3. Enjoy. Let's kick it off with rule number 1, take risks.
One of the most difficult choices I have ever faced in life was in 2008. I think I had maybe $30 million left, or $30 or $40 million left in 2008, and I had two choices. I could put it all into one company, and then the other company would definitely die, or split it between the two companies. But if I split it between the two companies, then both might die. When you put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating something, building something, it's like a child. And so it's like, which one am I going to let one starve to death? I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I split the money between the two. Fortunately, thank goodness, they both came through.
Rule number 2, create magic.
I've heard people say, listen, he's an out-of-the-box thinker, he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, but people that know
Really
you
a
say...
businessman, I wouldn't say.
You would say?
I'm not really a businessman.
You're not a businessman?
Not really.
No?
No.
What are you?
I'm sure there's probably lots of analysts on Wall Street who would agree that I'm not a businessman.
Okay, well, what do you think you are?
I'm an engineer.
An engineer?
Yeah.
Is it your dream to conquer the world and make the world a better place? What is your dream?
Technology is like magic, you know? I think technology is the closest thing to magic that we have in the real world. And so I think engineering, creative engineering is essentially technology development. I guess maybe when I was a kid, Lord of the Rings is my favorite book.
Is it?
Yeah, and I thought it'd be like, what's the closest thing to being a wizard in the real world? And that's like creating new technologies.
Rule number 3, don't rely on wishful thinking.
Young people globally who want to be like Elon Musk. What's your advice to them?
I think that probably they shouldn't want to be.
You?
I think it sounds better than it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as much fun being me as you'd think. I don't know.
You don't think so?
No. There's definitely, it could be worse for sure, but it's, I'm not sure I want to be me.
Okay.
But I think advice, if you want to make progress in things, I think that the best analytical framework for understanding the future is physics. I'd recommend studying the thinking process around physics, like not the equations. The equations certainly they're helpful, but the way of thinking in physics is it's the best framework for understanding things that are counterintuitive. Always taking the position that you are to some degree wrong, and your goal is to be less wrong over time. I think one of the biggest mistakes people generally make, and I'm guilty of it too, is wishful thinking. You want something to be true, even if it isn't true. And so you ignore the things that you ignore the real truth because of what you want to be true. This is a very difficult trap to avoid. And like I said, it's certainly one that I find myself in having problems with. But if you just take that approach of you're always to some degree wrong and your goal is to be less wrong, and solicit critical feedback, particularly from friends. Like friends, particularly friends, if somebody loves you, they want the best for you. They don't want to tell you the bad things. So you have to ask them, and say, really, I really do want to know. and then they'll tell you.
Rule number 4, survive failures.
What was your biggest failure, and how did it change you?
Well, I have to really think hard about that. Failure. Never heard of it.
There's your answer.
Well, there's a ton of failures along the way, that's for sure. Like I said, as I said, for SpaceX, the first 3 launches failed. And we're just barely able to scrape together enough parts and money to do the 4th launch. If that 4th launch had failed, we would have been dead. So multiple failures along the way. I tried very hard to get the right expertise in for SpaceX. I tried hard to find a great chief engineer for the rocket, but the good chief engineers wouldn't join, and the bad ones, well, there was no point in hiring them. So I ended up being chief engineer of the rocket. So if I could have found somebody better, then we would have maybe had less than 3 failures.
Rule number 5, solve big problems.
His interest in our energy crisis started last year, when South Australia, a state already heavily invested in wind and solar power, was plunged into darkness. The result of a massive storm that saw the state lose power. Elon Musk tweeted headfirst into a national political brawl when fellow billionaire Australian IT whiz Mike Cannon-Brookes questioned Tesla's boast that it could help solve South Australia's energy problems by building the world's biggest battery. Why did you do that?
There was no idea of what would happen afterwards. Just more if people make big claims like that, I'd like to check if they're real.
You thought I was joking. Because I had to check with my team. It's like, I hope I didn't really say something super crazy.
When you get a return tweet from Elon saying, yeah, what did you think?
Sweet. Just checking his kosher. You know, he says it's going to happen, let's make it happen, right? So...
these are public tweets.
Yeah, but in a way, that's part of what locks in the guarantee, right? He's putting his reputation on the line in a public forum there that, you know, enough noise was then created around it, enough people saw that it was like, all right, that you know, he better get that done.
More than ever, Australians are struggling to pay for their power. A record number of families are on hardship plans or deferred payments, and the rate of disconnections in most states has risen sharply. For Elon Musk, learning of this growing power poverty is overwhelming. Cost of power is making it almost a luxury item.
Wow. Really? I didn't realize it's that expensive. Australia has so many natural resources. I mean, even if you go the fossil fuel route, the electricity should be very cheap.
There are Australians today wondering if they can even turn on their lights. There are Australians today wondering, well, should we go without some food?
Sure.
That's just not something you would ever expect.
I did not expect that. We'll work harder. It's necessarily true that we will live on renewables. It's just a question of when. In fact, it's in the definition that if it's not renewable, that means it's going to run out at some point, and you will have the choice of collapse of civilization and into the dark ages we go, or find something that is renewable.
So all of this is about saving ourselves.
Yeah.
If If Elon Musk had his way, the world would be totally powered by renewables and he'd be colonising Mars. He is a big picture man with big plans. But it might be his push for the modest lithium battery will prove to be one of the more significant steps in this electric revolution.
You have been seen as a catalyst, somebody that is showing, gosh, there is another way.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
People in Australia should be proud of the fact that Australia has the world's biggest battery. This is pretty great. And that it will serve as an inspiration really to the whole world as well, to say that this is possible.
Rule number 6, commit fully.
This is widely regarded as one of the most robotics-driven auto assembly lines on the planet. Elon, part of the thing I heard about the Model 3 is that there's too many robots, that maybe...
Yeah, I agree.
You think so too? That maybe you need more people in here working?
We do.
In some cases, the robots actually slowed the production, right?
Yes, they did. We had this crazy complex network of conveyor belts, and it was not working. So we got rid of that whole thing.
This is cool, Elon.
Yeah.
Realizing it needed an overhaul, Musk personally took over the Model 3 production line at the beginning of April.
We're aiming for really extreme levels of precision, more than any other vehicle in the world.
He says he has resorted to pulling all-nighters at the plant.
When things get really intense, I don't have time to go home and shower and change, so I just sleep here.
I want to see. Where is that?
Yeah, so
I
this
want to see.
room. I mean, it's pretty boring overall, really.
It's actually cold in here too.
Yeah, I like it cold.
So you like it cold?
I sleep on the couch over there.
So you're just laying here on the couch?
Yeah. Last time I was here, I actually slept literally on the floor because the couch was too narrow.
Yeah, I was going to say. And Elon, I have to say, it's not even a comfortable couch either.
No, it's terrible. This is not a good couch.
Musk feels like all the overtime is paying off. And now he says the Model 3 line is back on track.
And we're able to unlock some of the critical things that were holding us back from reaching 2,000 cars a week. But since then, we've continued to do 2,000 cars a week.
Do you think that this is sustainable? This pace is sustainable?
Yeah.
Rule number 7, be a doer.
When you first told me that you were thinking about tunnels.
When did I first tell you about that?
Years ago.
Okay, it's like a long time ago.
Yeah,
like,
I thought you were joking.
Yeah, it was. I was joking, but it's not because of some epiphany that I had one day driving down the 405. That's how it gets translated somehow. I was talking about tunnels for years and years. For probably 5 years or 4 years at least, whenever I'd give a talk and people would ask me about what opportunities do you see in the world, I'd say tunnels. Can someone please build tunnels? So after 4 or 5 years of begging people to build tunnels, and still no tunnels, I was like, okay, I want to build a tunnel. So like maybe I'm missing something here. So I was like basically talking people's ears off of tunnels for several years, and then said, well, let's find out what it takes to build a tunnel. And so I started digging a tunnel. I wanted to start the tunnel from where I could see it from my office at SpaceX. So I said, well, let's just carve off a part of the parking lot across the road so I can see if anything's happening or not. And then we named our first boring machine Godot, because I kept waiting for it. It never came. Finally it did. And we got it going. And now we're making good progress.
Rule number 8, don't fear too much.
What motivations do people need to harness to try to make change, as opposed to just reading about change? And that's not supposed to be an easy question. I don't mean like, oh, it's this.
Well, like I said, I think if you study engineering and you figure out how to design new things, then it's relatively easy to start a company. You just need to get a few like-minded people with you, and then focus on creating a prototype, a compelling prototype, as soon as possible. And then, there's a strong venture capital industry in this country that will give you funding to take things to the next level. And that's all there is to it. And you might, if you try it a few times, you may or may not succeed. But I think sometimes people fear starting a company too much. You know, to have to say, really, what's the worst that could go wrong? You're not going to starve to death. You know, you're not going to die of exposure. What's the worst that could go wrong?
Rule number 9, push the limits.
How do you come with this idea, actually? Sometimes they're pushing the human limit. You are always pushing the human limit. Why?
Well, I think about what technology solution is necessary in order to achieve the particular goal, and then try to make as much progress in that direction as possible. I think being a multi-planet species and being out there among the stars is important for the long-term survival of humanity, and that's one reason, kind of like life insurance for life collectively, life as we know it. But then the part that I find personally most motivating is that it creates a sense of adventure, and it makes people excited about the future. You know, if you consider two futures, one where we are forever confined to Earth until eventually something terrible happens, or another future where we are out there on many planets, maybe even going beyond the solar system, I think that second version is incredibly exciting and inspiring, and there need to be reasons to get up in the morning. You know, life can't just be about solving problems. Otherwise, what's the point? There's got to be things that people find inspiring and make life worth living.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, have fun.
Stay a while. Come with me when moonbirds hits the sky. And then you'll walk with me along the by on by. Okay, all together now. My little buttercup.
My little buttercup.
Has the sweetest. My little buttercup has the sweetest smile.
My little buttercup, where do you stay a while? Won't you stay a while?
Come with me where moonbeams meet the sky. And you and I will walk the by on by.
Well, this is really winning.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip from Elon Musk on how to be an adventurer that I think you're really going to enjoy. But before that, I want to know, what did you learn from this video from Elon? What message struck you the hardest that you're going to apply somehow immediately to your life or your business? Write it down in the comments below. When you write it down, you're much more likely to actually take action. So let's see it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe in you. I hope you continue to believe in yourself and whatever your one word is. Much love. I'll see you soon, and enjoy the bonus clip.
Once you said you want to die on Mars, why?
I don't, to be clear, I don't want to die on Mars. It's like, I mean, we're all going to die someday. And if you're going to pick some place to die, then why not Mars?
Okay.
You know, if we're born on Earth, why not die on Mars? Seems like maybe it'd be kind of exciting. But so I think, given the choice of dying on Earth or dying on Mars, I'd say, yeah, sure, I'll die on Mars. But it's not some kind of Mars death wish. And if I do die on Mars, I just don't want it to be on impact.
Okay. Got it.
So let me give you the one-word secret to happiness. One word. This is all you need to be happy.
The most important word ever.
If you had to think of one word that's most important to you, or that sums you up, or that would be kind of like a little beacon.
Hey Believe Nation, if you want to know what the most important one word is for Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Oprah Winfrey, will.i.am, and Howard Schultz, I have a very special secret video for you. Check the description for details.